Hello everyone, welcome back to the Brush Bits and Bolts channel. In this video, I go over everything that I taught myself after deciding to take a break from art on the original channel. To start off, the first project I made was relearning basic Java packages. And as you can see, I imported every single class inside of the package. And the reason why I did that is that it allows me to modularize the contents of said package such that I can look at what has been used and what hasn't been used. You could see this by the grayness of every single imported but not used class. As you can see, the output is very simplistic. All I did is test out different fundamental classes and methods from each package. Moving on to the next one, after understanding the fundamentals, I decided that I would create two simple games. The first game being Breakout, the second being Snake. Now before I get to the difficulties that I had while making Snake, I want to go over why I had to reteach myself all of this and why I was able to skip to Breakout and Snake. Originally, I learned the basic fundamentals of programming in Java when I was in high school. Then, before I went to college, there was a bunch of family drama going on, and due to my father's emotionally abusive behavior, when I finally went to college, it had really affected me to the point where many classes I was struggling with. Furthermore, while I was there and I would call him from time to time, for the most part it was fine. At times he would still do things that were very emotionally abusive, which caused me to essentially forget a lot of the learning that I had done. And then on top of that, because of all the trauma, the realization that I had come to is that college was not for me. Without going into too much detail from there, a little further on past that year, I decided to start a YouTube channel where I would hold my progress for each subject. Getting back to the video, after attempting to make Snake and failing for the first time, I was kind of curious on how much easier it would be to use AI. After crafting a very specific text prompt, I did in fact create the game Snake. Following after that, and trying to ignore the actual code that it used itself, I then went back and tried recreating the original code that I had done for the first attempt to try and one-up the code that the AI had created. As you can see, the game still has a few flaws that I made, where I could essentially just go over my own character. From here, I don't know what I worked on next, so I'm going to assume it was file practice. Since file practice is pretty bland, I'm just going to go over it real fast, and essentially, I just moved files back and forth, edited a text file, and messed around with the sprites. Sprites being the most fun part, which then led to me trying to recreate the Sans fight. In the Sans fight, I got as far as creating the box and Sans moving around, but I did not create a HP system. I did not create a fighting system, as the type of style of self-learning that I was doing requires me to ignore current projects that I'm getting the hang of and work on something harder. That way I'm not programming in a stale manner and thus elongating my learning process. So from here I moved on to the next thing, which was sorting algorithms. The thing about sorting algorithms, if you haven't really heard about them, is that depending on the type of sorting algorithm, you're going to have pros and cons, and each sorting algorithm has a different O of n time, where n is how many iterations or sorting procedures, is what I'm going to call them, are made. Now, even though you may not know a lot about sorting algorithms, Quicksort is one of the best sorting algorithms out there on average. However, there are still faster sorting algorithms depending on the scenario. If you're creating a project and don't have a lot of sorting inputs, it's fine to use Quicksort as a function, because there's a lot of programming languages out there nowadays that have functions for quicksorts, and there's a lot of packages out there that use like quicksort as a function. The list of sorting algorithms that I made from scratch are bubble sort, selection sort, insertion sort, merge sort, and quicksort. The hardest two being quicksort and merge sort. Finally, the last thing that I taught myself how to learn during this learning process was a maze algorithm. The maze algorithm was the first real project that was challenging for me with nodes. And to understand what a node is, it's essentially, from my understanding, a point inside a data structure that points to another point. Each point holds data. As you can see, the nodes in the maze each have different nodes attached to them. Each node represents a direction: up, down, left, and right. This, of course, is abstract, as realistically, the nodes themselves are directionless. Why did I mention that the nodes are directionless? I mentioned that because the basic understanding of the difference between how the nodes are abstract and don't directly denote any direction greatly increases your creativity, since if something is abstract by representation, then it can also be used to represent something else. By design, each node is binary and can either be filled or not filled, which would be called null. If a node is null, then that means that it is a wall. Logically, that denotes either a maze edge or separation between two detached nodes. Then I realized that by the abstract design of said directionless directions, I could also use one of the same nodes that denote a detachment or edge as a separate layer. And the reason why this works is because when you create a node, the directions aren't inherently going to be attached to another node adjacent to it. Therefore, the node can literally represent up or down, or even a non-Euclidean space, as two spaces could hypothetically be represented as overlapping. However, at this point, I had already spent between 5 to 10 hours on this one maze algorithm, due to it being, 1, the first time I've ever looked at maze algorithms, and 2, being my first real practice with nodes. From here, I did go on to do other projects, but the main projects that I ended up doing, I don't really want to add to this channel, mainly because they all follow my own set of logics and ideas, and I don't want to risk my ideas getting stolen and then some tech company quickly making it before me or something like that. And that is it for this video. If you enjoyed watching, please like and subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.